It's alive!
How do we know she is alive?
I hate when people talk during the movie.
No wire hangers ever!
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Relax. It's all in bad taste. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bad Taste Buds, the podcast where we talk trash about the very best of the very worst of bad cinema. I am your host, as always, Liam, and I'm here to remind you that bat nipples do indeed exist, and they are still a thing. Joining me today, we have the usual suspects. We have Jack. Let's start over there, Captain Narcolepsy himself.
Swear to me.
What was that? Swear to me. Oh, Batman. Christian Bale.
Yeah, well done.
I got it. I haven't seen that film in a while. Sorry. And joining him, as always, we have his better half, our own resident Wonder Woman, because she's having to put up with our bullshit every week, so that makes her miraculous in my eyes.
I really wish I had a Wonder Woman quote right now, but I don't.
What is a Wonder Woman quote? Lasso away. I don't know, I'm going to lasso you.
Just spin in a circle.
Okay, guys, picture me spinning in a circle.
Oh shit, yeah, because she's... Oh, it gives me too many Cook flashbacks, though, with the spin and the costume change. And joining Hannah there, we have...
I had a really good ice pun for this one, but it slipped my mind.
I want dead. I'm going to add dead air. I'm just going to insert silence on Audacity after
Cricket
that.
noises.
Yeah. Oh, shit, like a Wait, do tumbleweeds make noises?
Not really.
Not really, no.
Tumble.
They just took like a little whistle, yeah. And also we have our very first... We're really excited to have our very first official Bad Taste Buds guest with us today. All the way from the Bear Hug Club... I did it right, I didn't fuck it up. The Bear Hug Club Pod Studios, yeah. Or his parents' basement, whatever. The real reason my bat nipples are so hard, we have Greg motherfucking Wilson here with us.
No.
Greg
man. Thank you. Hi, it's good to be here, guys.
Greg, you've probably known each other the longest of anyone in this room. We were like year 7 of school, so...
Whoa, way before that, mate. I've got...
yeah.
I've got 2 old primary school picture photos. I think one from reception with both you and me stood in...
Wait, did we go to reception together?
Oh, yeah. I was in reception for like a year left, and then I came back for primary school.
Did you leave because of Liam?
I mean, there was a lot of tension there at that age.
I am the Joker to his Batman. I'm just fucking with him the entire time. I knew we went to primary school together, but I don't remember. I've got no memories like past like 11 years old.
Past 11 years old.
Yeah, I remember everything from 0 to 11 and then nothing else. I had it, yeah. But yeah, we're really excited to have you here. Obviously, I think you are kind of... I mean, we would have had you on anyway, but you're an expert on the topic that we're going to cover today.
He's a bat nerd.
He's a bat nerd, which means that we are doing... What, guys? Batman and Robin. Yeah, we fucking are. Which
I wouldn't have guessed.
I would give the audience a little bit of time to guess.
It's like, should I interject? It's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the reason we have you here is, despite the fact that you're fantastic, and the podcast is fantastic, please do check out the Bear Hug Club podcast. It's so much fun. As a wrestling, completely layman, I've got no idea. It's still such a good listen. Where can we find you on those podcasts, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to find us on Facebook and YouTube, that is just the Bear Hug Club Podcast. If you want to find us on Instagram, it's Bear Hug Club Pod. And if you want to find us on Twitter, it's Bear Hug Club.
Fantastic. Please do go check them out and give them some love, guys. Today we are covering Batman and Robin, the $125 million disaster that basically killed the first Batman franchise off.
160 million.
160. What, is that the budget?
Yeah.
Are we looking at different places? Because I'm sure it was 125. But
I'm sure you told me, that was wrong 5 minutes before we recorded.
We know so many facts here at the Bad Taste. But Hannah's on the Google machine finding out what the crack is.
I'm raring to go for this one, though. This was a childhood classic for me. I had this on VHS, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, this has a lot of kind of fun memories. I have not seen this since I was a kid. This is like a long... The memories are there. Kind of when it came out, right off the heels of Batman Forever, the other Joel Schumacher director, which I think was quite poorly received anyway. That was not a knock out the park for...
I mean, the thing was, the first Batman by Tim Burton came out in, 89?
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just been kind of a gradient, because then he did Batman Returns, which for a lot of people was too dark.
Too dark, yeah.
Famously, they were meant to have a Happy Meal tie-in, and then that got pulled when they saw the film and were like, Jesus Christ, this is a bit too dark.
There's nothing Happy Meal about this, yeah.
So that caused Warner Bros. To think, right, we need to make this more kid-friendly, hence Joel Schumacher getting brought on. Yeah. But then from there, the critical reception and even a lot of fan reception just kept going down a nosedive, essentially.
Isn't that why they introduced Robin as well? To sort of
dampen
it down and sort of bring in the kid-friendliness.
Was Was that Batman Forever?
Yeah, he was introducing Batman Forever, and again, it just kind of leaned towards. It doesn't.
I mean, if you look at it, they were trying to get Robin in from Batman Returns, and one of the rumored casting was going to be Damon Wayans.
Mm-hmm.
So they've always tried to get him in, but I think part of that to get him in was to help with the kid friendliness.
I really like Batman Forever. I remember fond memories of that one with Jim Carrey.
Again, I've not seen it since I was a kid, but I remember liking it when I was young.
I can get as an adult watching it though, going from the quite dark, quite edgy Tim Burton style to that which is a bit more campy and a bit more tropey. I can see why it didn't get as good a reception.
They told them to when they were filming to make it more comic book style, to really like camp it up like it was the early 1960s one.
I mean, it does have a lot of those. It shares a lot of the qualities from the 60s live action, the Adam West Batman. Surely that's kind of the direct comparison I would make to it. Which I think, it put a lot of people off because we were like right in the 90s. Everything was depressing in the 90s anyway. Like, it was like the era of grunge and fucking Nirvana and shit. No one wants to see. Right, you know what's fucking weird? There's this weird memory, and I can't remember if it's this film or the other film, but I'm sure the Smashing Pumpkins had a song on the soundtrack for either this one or Batman Forever.
Batman Forever had a pretty rockin' soundtrack.
It might be in that one.
U2 famously do a really good song for that soundtrack, so I would have said maybe Forever.
It might be that one, yeah. Which, I think both of these movies are definitely a kind of relic of the time. Like, it hasn't aged wonderfully. But I'm excited to see it because it's been a while since I've seen it.
So, like Greg pointed out, that this would have gotten a lot of kids into the Batman franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me chief among them. So
I included.
As an adult, and being a huge Batman fan, having gone into the lore, obviously don't have a lot of love for it now, but this is the perfect gateway drug for kids if you want kids to enjoy Batman. Start with these two, absolutely.
Although watching it as an adult now, I'm going, so right, we've got a trust fund billionaire kid versus someone who wants to plant more trees and someone who wants to reduce global warming. And we're meant to root for the billionaire. Is that how this goes?
Occupy Gotham, I guess. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, in our society, this is definitely a case of. Is Batman the villain? Is Batman the bad guy?
I think he might be the bad guy.
I think Mr. Freeze, he's just trying to fucking save his wife, isn't he? Like, come on, dude.
On the planet at the same
time. I think Dr. Freeze, Mr. Freeze, sorry. Why are you saying Dr. Freeze?
Well, he is Dr.
He is a doctor, but his name is Mr. Freeze, right?
It's Victor Freeze.
Victor Freeze, that's the one.
You're thinking of Hugo Strange.
Yeah, mixing.
Victor's such a good baddie name, though, isn't it?
Well, it's not what we're talking about, so it's not. There's no point talking about.
Irrelevant, Hannah.
Irrelevant. I mean, that's Mr. Freeze is kind of one of the biggest talking points about this film. I mean, the villains in general, or just the acting in general. Like, what a cast! What a star-studded, especially for the time. What a star-studded cast! You get George Clooney in the main role, which dream casting you would assume. But he was maligned for this. Like, people fucking hated this depiction of.
Yeah, I think because obviously at the time he wasn't known for his films. He was in the midst of ER at this point, so he's mainly a television guy. I think maybe if we had Clunes once he's firmly in...
More Clunes.
Yeah, exactly. Once he's firmly into like being a big time actor, it could have worked.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the American Dad episode with George Clooney now, because we were talking about that before, weren't we?
Yeah.
Well, he just does the look. He looks down and then just looks straight up. That's all he does.
Wow. Did Arnie get billed above George Clooney on this movie?
He probably would have. I think he had top billing because
Arnie was fucking huge physically and in renown,
profile wise.
Yeah.
This was like,
and just pure mass.
But this almost feels like it was the beginning of the decline of Arnie's career, because the 80s and the early 90s was like peak Arnie.
I was such a huge Arnie fan as a kid.
He had heart surgery after this movie.
Did it put him in the hospital? Is that what happened?
Well, a lot of people wouldn't hire him or give him the insurance to do an action movie because of the heart surgery. So it was like 98 or something like that before he got another movie.
Oh,
there was a few year gap in between.
It wasn't a massive failure when it came out. Like, box office, we're discussing the box office, because apparently I'm wrong with the box office, but I don't know if I am.
No, you were right. It's 125.
Fuck you, Jack.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it.
Made on a $125 million budget, and it grossed, this is worldwide gross, $238 million back, which is...
Is that up to date?
Yeah, it's respectable. It's not gangbusters, especially when you compare it to what Batman Forever made, which I think was like $390 million or something. I think almost like doubled.
It's a flop by Hollywood standards.
Yeah, by Hollywood standards, not great.
But they broke even and made a bit of profit.
Yeah.
I mean, saying that though, do we know how well merchandise did? Because that's what you're banking on in this kind of film. I remember as a kid, I had like toys, obviously.
It's a very good point. Yeah,
it would have. I don't think by any extent it was a Philly, but it did ostensibly kill the franchise up until Batman Begins, which I think we'll probably talk about a little bit in our point 5. But for a while, this film pretty much just stonewalled it and put it in the ground for a while, really.
The toys had a lot to do with the way this movie was filmed, though. It was meant to be filmed so they could make loads of merchandise and loads of dolls and toys of Batman. So that is a heavy influence in this that you're going to see.
The George Lucas effect is what I like to call it, when everything is made for toys and that's it. Yeah.
Didn't he own all of the toy merchants rights? For all
that's
Star
it.
Wars products?
Greg's spot on when he says a lot of the time films are made just to sell toys. You're a massive Transformers fan. You've got to say that there's a lot of kind of crossover there as well, isn't there? With what?
So I'm not a diehard Transformers fan. I rate the 89 film, that came out, which was animated. Really good if you want to check that out. But yeah, Transformers, this is the Saturday morning cartoon effect, essentially. Shows back in the 80s that were popular, Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, they were made strictly just to sell toys.
Yeah.
They were essentially just a big long commercial. That was the point.
I think it's genius.
Well, people speculate the same with things like Boba Fett, don't they?
Yeah.
And Captain Phasma. I'm going to make that one who's basically just your average trooper, looks slightly shiny or slightly different, or give them a jetpack.
Stick a different armor on, sell a different toy.
Yeah.
Buy the skin pack and download it.
But Papa Dave has made Boba Fett a redeemable character in The Mandalorian, though, which is great.
It's not a Star Wars podcast, Jack. You can start your own
podcast. It will be.
I want to go. So I'm going to start with Greg because you are a massive fan. Would you say Batman is your ride or die fan base? This is what you.
Oh, it's up there. So I'd say for me, obviously, wrestling is at the top. Then probably Red Dwarf, then probably Batman.
Nice.
So it's definitely in my top 5, absolutely.
Jack approves.
I read as much of the comics as I can. Well, we'll get into point 5, but video games.
What was your introduction to Batman?
This,
yes.
It was I just remember as a kid, not actually having the actual release of the VHS, but a recorded copy VHS of both this and Batman Forever. And then at the time when I was watching these, the animated series was still on heavy rotation and repeats of that as well. And as I just got older, it was just getting into the comics, then the video games, toys.
Because it's lasted. It's one of those franchises that I don't envision ever going away. It's like a Bond. It's like you can't. I couldn't imagine a world without Batman in some incarnation. And we're still looking forward to. I'm really buzzed about the Robert Pattinson. Matt Reeves directed Batman because first of all I trust Matt Reeves implicitly. He's the guy who ran the new Planet of the Apes franchise, and he's fantastic. He's not made a bad film in my books at the minute. But I think that's kind of something to look forward to and something to.
I think the knee-jerk reaction is, him from Twilight, but then you realise, actually, have I seen anything he's done since Twilight? No, so
he hates those movies as well. He can't stand them. He's said on record. But
dude's got range.
Got range.
He was incredible in The Lighthouse.
I've not seen that yet. It's
fantastic.
It's on my list, but I've not seen that yet. Good. What about the rest of you guys then? So I would agree with, and I think Jack, you said these films was the start for you, but you two specifically, Hannah, you have very little knowledge of Batman, right?
Yeah, basically a movie virgin, especially when it comes to Batman. No, I've seen the Dark Knight trilogy, and I really rate those. Jack introduced me to them, and I really enjoyed them. And I've seen a couple of the Joker movies, obviously, Heath Ledger,
couple of the Joker movies,
Joaquin Phoenix, all of them, I suppose.
One of those Joker movies.
And I've enjoyed what I've seen. But I'm looking forward to this. As people have said, it's an introduction to Batman for a few people, especially for a child level. Which I basically am when it comes to films. I'm really looking forward to giving this a go, and I'm looking forward to trying to figure out all those puns. 27, got to hit them all.
Oh fuck yeah, right. Because you said this to me before we started recording, Ryan, didn't you?
Yes, there's about 27 ice puns that are made through the movie, and I will be diligent and mark them all off as I go. We'll play bingo. We just need to find the right word at the end when we get it.
I'm so excited. No, but because it's a train wreck. It's well entrenched in the pantheon of best worst. I don't think you would argue that with anyone. We've had discussions about whether or not Cats is classified as best worst or whether or not Showgirls is classified.
Cats
you
is
hate
not
it.
best worst. Cats is just shit.
Worst.
It's just shit. There's no entertainment value in it. It's just shit.
There's no arguing that Batman and Robin doesn't kind of fall into that caliber.
I'm concerned that it's 2 hours long because in my head this is a really fun, exciting movie, but then I heard 2 hours and I'm thinking, is that too long?
No, it's good, mate.
It'll go quick, I think.
Yeah,
it depends if it's 2 hours of just Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I can do that.
I can do that too. I'm ready for that.
If anything, he doesn't get enough screen time in this. I think
it is because Batman and Robin is almost like the Dark Knight of bad movies. It's the big it's probably the most high-profile movie we've covered. Like, to this point, we've done, Troll 2, Underground, kind of culty. Showgirls, still kind of culty.
Cats was probably a bigger film.
Yeah, it's a bigger train wreck, but maybe it's just because it's more recent. I'm not sure. We were very young when this came out, so I guess the actual reaction that Hollywood had to it. I do think this was a massive kind of fucking flop for superhero films.
This one actually made money though. Cats did.
True.
But I mean, there is credit to be had. George Clooney got his first break in Hollywood doing movies. Uma Thurman had that creative license to do what she wanted with a character and really camp it up, and she liked that.
Was this before Kill Bill?
Yeah. This is prior to Kill Bill.
But she's already done Pulp Fiction, I think.
But also like Alicia Silverstone as well, who went on to do Clueless, obviously, and then she kind of disappeared for a while. I think this movie might have damaged her career a little bit.
Oh yeah, she gained a little bit of weight, and she was severely mocked for it. They had to remake a costume, and
it sucks, man.
Joe Schumacher did try to defend her though, so credit there for him.
Has anyone seen any other Schumacher films? Because he's got a interesting catalogue of
I've
films.
seen Phone Booth, which I quite enjoyed, but again, it was a decade ago. So
yeah, it was a long time ago since I've seen that.
I have seen Falling Down, which I think is probably one of his best ones. That's really good. Lost Boys, that has a huge following. I saw that for the first time recently. I wasn't completely sold, but I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And then basically bits of Phantom of the Opera, which is just terrible.
Me and Jack were saying this about Lost Boys, because I really like Lost Boys, but I have seen it kind of post my childhood. I grew up with it. It doesn't hold up as well as I'd want it to, and especially compared to other vampire movies around the same time. There's a film called Near Dark. I don't know if any of you guys have seen, but it's fucking exceptional. It's like The Lost Boys, but much better. Schumacher, for me, has a very kind of up and down career. It's not something I couldn't set my watch to him and say, yeah, he's always going to be making fantastic movies. That Phantom of the Opera film is fucking abysmal as well. Like, he's not... Linking back to our Andrew Lloyd Webber episode, kind of Cats, musical adaptations sometimes fucking suck, and he made a really bad one. Like, it's not great, but this is definitely one of his more entertaining films.
In bar Batman, he's not really my genre of director. None of his movies particularly appeal.
I think we can be pretty safe in the knowledge that no matter what, this movie is going to be more fun than the current DC offerings we're getting. I know I think we've talked about this a little bit on the Pick and Mix podcast, the other podcast, me and Greg are on there with Harry and Nathan. I'm not a fan of 90% of what DC's doing at the minute.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, 90% might be harsh.
I mean, Birds of Prey was really fun. We didn't take it too seriously. Yeah. But I remember me and you, Hannah, watched, what was it called? The Bad Guys Team Up. My God, my brain's just...
Suicide Squad.
Hannah's the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, why of everyone did you ask Hannah?
Because she watched it with me, I thought.
I guess.
Yeah, that was... But yeah, we watched Suicide Squad, and it was just...
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like letting a balloon down really slowly to me. It just felt like there was that kind of just pressure. Just
It didn't even ramp up
to
to let you down. It just didn't ramp. It just
No
flatlined.
Yeah, it was not good to begin with, but it seems like they're regaining ground now that it's not necessarily an extended universe, although it looks like they're trying to bring it back. I'm really excited for the new Suicide Squad, which is
James
a
Gunn,
reboot and a sequel.
Yeah.
It's one of those kind of territories, and it's James Gunn.
James Gunn's not let me down so far. So
yeah, that's a good show.
Obviously, the Batman one with Pattinson we mentioned.
Shazam
was good. Shazam was really good.
I'm not hopeful for the Snyder cut of Justice League. I've seen the trailers.
Sorry,
and
Nathan.
It looks the same.
I'm not excited for the Schneider cut of anything.
Schneider. Yeah, I mean, me and you have discussed this. We're not Schneider fans, are we?
The only good Snyder to happen to DC is Scott Snyder, who's wrote some of the best comics in recent memory.
I think we're at a good place to do a little bit of a trailer talk. So, Greg, you've not been with us. We're going to kind of watch the trailer. We're going to see what we remember from when we have seen it. We're going to kind of get ourselves ready for what we're about to watch. So, yeah, I think if you guys are ready, I'm ready to watch some trailer and do some trailer talk.
Batman. You're Batman.
I was hoping for an ice joke.
Nope.
Right, let's get the trailer on. We'll be back with you very shortly, guys. Thank you.
My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
And the only man who can stop them.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Can't do it alone.
And we are back from watching the trailer for Batman and Robin, and what the fuck was that?
I am so ready for this.
It's just every bit as campy and flamboyant and extra and over the top and just fucking ridiculous. Like what we had two of the Mr. Freeze puns in one trailer. Like in 2 minutes, they somehow managed to put two of
And
the
they were
puns in.
both the same word. They were
the same
both
puns.
chill.
Yeah,
Only
chill.
25 more to go.
And I forgot how bad some of this dialogue was. Like that Superman, this is why Superman works alone line. I remember that being iconically awful, and it is. It's just such a fucking weird.
I love
line.
the deadpan. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
It's not even like said with like edge. It's just like, oh, I'm Batman. Yeah.
Clooney all the way through this though. It's like he's playing the ER doctor.
Yeah. I think you can tell that it was one of his first kind of big Hollywood leading man roles, and I think it does kind of lend itself to a little bit of why it didn't really work for him. What about you, Hannah? Did you?
Did they all have to learn to skate?
What, with the ice hockey thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That
would make
that's
sense.
a skill in itself. I'm just about. I'm impressed.
I just love how
That's basically all I took away from that trailer.
And I love how much is stuffed in here. Like, I think we're forgetting a lot of the time people give like films like Spider-Man 3 a lot of shit for adding excessive amounts of villains, but there's like 3 full villains in this. And
I'm here for it, to be honest. That looks epic. It looks like action-packed.
Everyone's having a lot of fun. I think at the very least, this is going to be one of the more fun exercises, especially after last week when we did Wicker Man, which bored the shit out of most of us. I am really, really excited to watch a bit more campy, a bit more like down to earth, but there's nothing down to earth.
Yeah, it's a really grounded story.
Yeah,
Are we
really
even going to
gritty.
put bets on whether Jack's going to fall asleep in
Nah,
this
he's not
one?
gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
My body is ready.
Greg, do you know about this? Like, Jack falls asleep during, like, I would say, like 50% of the films we watch.
So in the Cats episode, you can literally hear the snores on the second half of the
I fell asleep during
podcast.
Troll 2. I fell asleep during Cats.
Yeah.
So
Showgirls you managed.
Showgirls I managed.
2 out of 5, 6? 2 out of 6? Maths.
I don't know.
How to maths.
General rule: if the sun's up, he'll survive. If it's down, he's not coming
He's
back.
like a reverse vampire.
Yeah. I'm totally on board for this. I love a shit Arnie film.
Yeah?
I grew up with them on like DVD and VHS and everything. Like True Lies, Total Recall.
yeah, man.
I loved the Terminator films as a kid. Kindergarten Cop. He just had so many great crap films.
He's got such presence, even when he's camping it up and even when he's being ridiculous. He's just got such a screen
I think
presence.
I love Arnie so much just because he's just like everything he's decided to do in life, he's accomplished.
Yeah.
I'm going to, become the best bodybuilder in the world with barely speaking a lick of English. I'm going to become a Hollywood actor and fucking nails it.
What a guy.
I'm going to get into politics and go to the highest rank you can as a non-American born. The governor of like the biggest
Governor
state.
of California, yeah. He's
everything. He married a Kennedy, which is like marrying the royal family in America.
He might be the
He's
living
done
embodiment.
everything.
Like, considering, he's because he's from Austria, right? That's his.
Yeah.
He's lived the American dream, and he's not even American. What a fucking lad!
Do you know he now lives with his goat and his pony, and he has like an open plan kitchen that they just come in and wander about, and he loves like on Insta if you follow him, it's just like videos of his pony and his goat, and he just looks so happy.
I love the fact that you've just admitted to following Arnold Schwarzenegger on Instagram.
Why wouldn't I?
I guess, yeah.
He's so wholesome.
I've never thought about following
wholesome
Arnold.
content right
when
there.
when I go on Instagram, I don't think about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think about like I don't know, like Mary Kondo or something. Or
I love a bit of Arnie.
He pops up on Reddit all the time as well, just
Really?
giving people workout advice or just like giving them
He does a
motivational
lot of
quotes and
Ask
stuff.
Me Anythings, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves Reddit. He's quite active on that too.
If you're listening, Arnie, please don't get me too'd because that'd be really sad and we'd be all upset.
Oh God, that's
Behave.
Behave. Be good.
He's already had his scandal though, hasn't he?
Was it the
illegitimate
the
child of
maids?
his maid,
Yeah, the maid thing.
Yeah. So he's had his.
And we all
bad-
forgot
bad
about it. We're
time.
fine with that.
Yeah,
It's not a big deal.
We've all been there.
I'm ready for this.
Let's fucking go.
Like, sorry, is that what you were going to say? Let's fucking
I
go.
don't know. I panicked.
You have been poorly letting me down with these ice buns.
That's the problem. I didn't come prepared other than my opener.
I just think you need to chill out a little bit.
Hey!
Right.
Don't acknowledge that.
What we'll do, guys, is we will turn off our podcast now. We will stop recording, and we recommend you guys do the same. Go put a copy of Batman and Robin on. Find it. I don't know if it's on Amazon. We're gonna have to find this out. Actually, we probably should have done that before.
Well,
Fuck it.
You need to stop giving them free advertising, Liam.
It's not free advertising. It's Amazon. They don't need any more advertising. It's like saying jumping Google free advertising. Like Amazon's doing just fine without me. Do go watch the film if you have a copy of it or if you have the ability to, and then come back and join us in 2 hours. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon. Sweet. Well, let me be the one to break the ice. And welcome you back to the Bad Taste Buds podcast where we... Wait, that wasn't right. The Bad Taste Buds podcast where we talk trash about the best... I'm just doing the intro again.
Oh,
that movie scrambled my...
That intro is giving me chills.
Right, I'll be the first to say. I'll be the first to say that was a massive
amazing,
piece.
right? Like,
it was,
yeah.
So yeah, we've just come back from watching Batman and Robin. If you couldn't tell, I fucking loved it, man. Like what a complete 180 from last week's Wicker Man, which was boring and tedious and like funny, yeah, but this was consistently funny, right?
My
like,
worries were not founded.
Yeah.
2 hours was a perfectly reasonable amount of time.
Call it anything you like except boring.
Yeah, absolutely,
100%. Yeah.
As a Batman fan, what's because this must be conflicting to you, right?
So yeah, like I said before, when I was a kid, loved this film.
Yeah.
But then I think it's a typical thing when you get older, and if you are into film like we are, you try to be cool and be like, oh yeah, that film's shit. You know, it's awful. You
Not on this podcast, you don't.
Yeah. You see people rip it, but then when you get older, like I can appreciate for what it is.
Yeah.
It is just camp fun,
Yeah,
and it's great in that regard.
I think you get everything you need to know from the film in the first 2 minutes where it's
the ice skating scene.
No, not even that.
Not
it's
even that.
The suit up scene where you see Bat Nipples, Robin Nipples, Bat Butt, Robin Butt, and then the first line in the film is a shite one-liner.
Is it the Superman works alone?
Robin's asking for a car, and Batman's like, this is why Superman works alone.
It kind of like
thanks, Doctor.
The opening kind of encapsulates probably one of the best elements of this film and one of the worst elements. You're right. The camp works so well, and the tone wise, it's great because it is. It's very Adam West level 60s cheese. The worst elements are probably the one thing that did detract from the film a lot for me was the relationship between Batman and Robin. Who, Greg, you picked this up pretty well. He's just a whiny bitch in this film, isn't he? Constantly fucking complaining.
100%. Like I mean, the thing is that you get conflict like that in the comics, but in this one, it just feels so pointless and a bit out of place.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just, and Robin in this one is just insufferable at times.
Before we go any further, should we do a quick roundup for our listeners who haven't watched the film with us? So, Greg, I think if you don't mind, you've got a 30-second synopsis prepared for us. We are going to time you. You will be ejected from the building if you do not get within 30 seconds. Off you go.
Okay. This superhero adventure finds Batman, George Clooney, and his partner, Robin, Chris O'Donnell, attempting to foil the sinister schemes of a deranged set of new villains, most notably the melancholy Mr. Freeze, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who wants to make Gotham into an Arctic region, and the sultry Poison Ivy, played by Uma Thurman, a plant-loving femme fatale. As the dynamic duo contends with these bad guys, a third hero, Batgirl, Alicia Silverstone, joins the ranks of the city's crime fighters.
Well done, man.
Nicely done.
Hey.
And that's it for everyone. The Bad Taste Bud. We are leaving now. No, great. Really, really well done for getting through that, guys. Like, I didn't think it was a chore, though. This is the thing. A lot of these times we do these, they are genuinely chores to get through. And this was fully fucking entertaining, like,
this was the
to
most entertaining film we've watched.
This was Showgirls. I'm more of a Showgirls fan, personally, but I get what you mean, yeah. Kind of going around the Hannah, you've been extremely quiet so far, but this is the first Batman experience. No, it's not the first This is the first Batman thing you've ever seen.
Never heard of him before.
But this is the first time you're seeing this film. So what's the reaction? Fair enough. No, I totally understand. Yeah, absolutely. It's understandable.
She was so amazed. She's lost for words.
So Hannah, what did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was entertaining from beginning to end. I was very confused at times, and there's a lot of plot lines going on. I don't really understand why they needed Batgirl in it, but I enjoyed the times that she was in it. I thought Uma Thurman was a bit too over the top, but overall I thought it was an entertaining film, which is what I've always said film should be. If it entertains you, it hits the mark, and it did.
What was everyone's favourite pun? They don't have a favourite pun because the dinosaur... Again, first 20 minutes or so, the what killed the dinosaur pun is probably the best one.
I feel like that's the peak and then it just goes down.
Yeah, probably. Because at a certain point, they just stop saying puns. They just say random... They're not even one-liners. They just say things as if they're puns, like as if everything has to be a pun.
Oh, yeah. Batman, I will hold your frozen heart.
Shit like that.
Hilarious. Really geniusly, carefully constructed.
Can we talk a little bit about Clooney? I think he was a great Bruce Wayne, terrible Batman.
I don't know if great might be too far.
He's a good Bruce Wayne. Competent Bruce Wayne.
He has the broodiness to be a Bruce Wayne, doesn't he?
Yeah,
whereas
he's the sharp dress, looks for good in a tuxedo, quite smooth.
All you've got to be as suave as fuck, and Clooney is naturally suave as fuck, right?
There was some really nice interactions between him and Alfred, which felt like genuinely kind of heartfelt moments.
Yeah.
But it just felt like so contradictory or such like so hyperbolic compared to the rest of the film when they're fighting Go-Go Gadget bats ice skates. It felt so jarring having those quite
the whole
nice,
Dorothy
meaningful
click
moments.
of the shoes twice, ice skates just pop out.
The Bat gadgets, especially in this one, were like bordering on shark repellent. Like
they barely
level.
used at the beginning. They suited up, and we saw this full scene of them grabbing batarangs and all the utility items. They get to the scene of the crime, and they don't use any of them. Just fuck that right off. Let's just use our fists.
It is a case of you know what you're getting in for the first 30 minutes. Because you're right, the opening action scene is just fucking bonkers. It's like Iceman, what's his name? Mr. Freeze. Fucking, takes over this museum to try and get these diamonds because he's going to use them to heal his wife, his dying wife. And takes off on a rocket, which Batman is strapped to, and Robin is climbing. And the culmination of the scene, just to tell you if you are going to like this film or not, is them surfing on the doors of the rocket.
Space surfing.
From the atmosphere down into... And this such a weird, like, off-puttingly gothic version of Gotham City. Like, I get Gotham's meant to be gothic. Its name is fucking Gotham.
Okay, no, I loved the
architecture.
sets. I thought the sets were fucking epic.
Cool.
What did you like in them too?
I thought they were a bit like Rapture in the game Bioshock.
Yeah,
very similar
100%.
sort of 40s, very kind of like overly designed vibe, you know?
Super impractical, though.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's the one thing that's carried across all 4 of these films in the series. The architecture is consistent because it's like that in Burton's Batman all the way up to Schumacher, so they keep it consistent at least.
I know you whinged about it, but I kind of, like, again, like the whole hands holding the telescope was a cool design. But also, having a telescope in the middle of a heavily polluted city is just
so
fucking
impractical.
stupid.
So fucking impractical. There are like bridges that go to nowhere. There's like construction bridges that just veer off into a vertical fucking drop. No construction work, no like warning sign. There's just this bridge ends over a 90-degree drop, and if you fucking drive off it, you die. Sorry. It's just mad, and you're right. I whinge about it, but I think it does lend to the campiness, and it does kind of add to the campiness. I don't think it detracts, and I was enjoying the fuck watching. You're right. You're driving around Gotham, and there were just like giant fucking hands and giant heads everywhere. It's fucking batshit insane.
Must be a nightmare for Gothamites to get to work.
I know, right? Like, can you imagine the morning commute?
Do you imagine the directions you'd give someone? Just go past the first 2 Goliaths and then take a left.
Because like this came out in the time before Google Maps and sat-nav was really a thing, you know? Like their like physical maps must be a fucking nightmare to navigate.
Can I comment on something that I think is genuinely very good, and not even in like a pulpy kind of culty way? The soundtrack is fucking beautiful. Like, so it doesn't belong in a film like this. It feels like it's in a different film because it's so good.
Yeah, no arguments there.
Obviously,
really,
but
really
Danny Elfman did all 4, I think.
Yeah. It's essentially the same theme throughout. I think he just tweaks it for everyone.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it's essentially the same theme.
How hugely entertaining was Arnie in this film, though?
Yeah,
every scene he's in was just like...
He plays it at 11.
I think he hit the mark more than anybody else in the entire film, I'll be honest.
He was
I thought
definitely
he was fantastic.
He was definitely the most captivating of all. What do I think was wrong with Uma Thurman's performance? Was it the monologues?
I don't like them. I don't like her, but Hannah disagrees entirely with this. You think she was actually same level as Arnie, right? Or did you? Someone did. Who was it? You, Ryan? Oh, sorry, it was Ryan. My fault.
I enjoyed this. It wasn't amazing, obviously. It wasn't fantastic acting, but she really tried to camp it up. She went crazy with it, and at least she tried to differentiate her personalities. When she was the researcher at the beginning, it was a terrible performance, but she had a characterization. Then she became Poison Ivy, and then she led into the whole campy, comic book, over-the-top, exaggerated person, and that was her job role in this. This movie was meant to be really campy. It's not what they wanted to make, but that's what they got told they had to make, and that's where she is. So fuck you, Hannah, for bitching at the beginning.
Nah, she missed the mark. She was too much. Every time she was on, it's like she
I don't think she was too much. I don't think she's controversial opinion time. I don't know who's going to agree with me. I don't think Uma Thurman's a very good actress.
I agree that it wasn't too much. It felt like she just didn't care about being there. It felt like you could see her like eyeballing offset because you can see someone's waving a check in front of her. That's all she cares about. It's like, oh, this is just a payday at the end. It's nothing.
She has said that she enjoyed it and she does really like it and like that she did that role. I mean, she knows the film's shite, but she enjoyed doing it.
The only films I can think of is Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction. What else has she been in?
Oh, I agree, she's not good. I want to get that out there now. She's not a good actress.
She was in that superhero ex-girlfriend one, which I don't terrible.
I didn't see it.
Most recently, she was in The War with Grandpa. I don't know if anyone's seen that. Percy Jackson and the Lightning
Oh shit!
Thief.
Yeah, she's like the villain in those, right?
The one with Grandpa's coming out soon. I think it's Meet the Parents. What's he called? The famous dad.
Danny.
De Niro.
De Niro. That's the one. It's De Niro and
Who's Danny?
He's at
Danny
war
De
with his
Niro.
kids.
Danny De Niro.
So I'm guessing she's probably playing the mother. I would guess. No idea.
Potentially, but veering back to what works, because Uma doesn't work for me. Arnie does. Arnie is like the gift that keeps on fucking giving. Anytime any scene gets dull or kind of maybe a bit long in the tooth, he comes in and rescues it. Like he's the real hero of this fucking movie.
However, this still gets a lot of hate for the characterization because Mr. Freeze was initially like a campy character in a yellow suit and a purple backpack, I think it was. Then he was really good and he couldn't make a freeze ray and that's why he became evil, blah, blah. But then they liked the character, brought him back, revived him, made him really fucking cool. And then when it went back to this, a lot of people were pissed off at what they'd done to him.
You can't please comic book fans and things like that, though. That's always the case when something's so storied and something's been going for 60 years nearly by this point.
I feel like it's justified.
A lot of gatekeeping going on.
I feel like it's justified to be pissed off at these incarnations because again they fuck Bane up as well, don't they? Like he's royally not the
He's
version.
just a chauffeur
any
for
version
part of it.
Like, essentially, if you weren't big in the comics, Bane was ruined as a character until Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, Dark Knight Rises. Because like the whole point of Bane is not only is he super strong, but he is incredibly smart. He is one of the few characters in the comics who just works out who Batman is.
Yeah.
And uses that to essentially break
his own
him.
good.
Yeah,
I mean, that interpretation, I wasn't a massive fan of Dark Knight Rises, but I think Bane is probably one of the best parts of it, like, definitely. Yeah, here he's just a lumbering fucking idiot, isn't he? He doesn't really add anything other than to say, well, bat, or bird, or bomb.
Well, so it could have been better if it was Solomon Grundy, if you just wanted, like, a mute,
someone
dumb physical servant, because basically they beat him, you could beat that iteration of Bane with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cut his wires and he's just fried on the ground. It's
just like
a scrawny little junkie.
There's like so much illogical shit in this movie. There's so much that doesn't make sense. Like, remember you, Greg? So you said like, why does the bike have its own fucking house? Like, there's like,
why does it come in its own house and then just pop open so he can ride it? Why isn't it just out already?
I understand that like superhero films don't always need to have convincing physics effects or just, I don't know, abide by the laws of gravity, but this one takes that to the fucking end. These people may as well be made of helium. They just float away and bounce off shit. And
I love the fact as well, people are allowed to like one thing. And that's it.
God, yeah.
So Mr. Freeze is bombs are shaped like icicles. Everything is frozen. Batman's got a bat-shaped credit card. It's not bat-shaped, but bat logo credit card.
Oh my
bat
God,
bombs. Everything's bat.
It's just your entire personality is one
that's
thing.
It, you know.
It's to the point where like even when he cries, like Mr. Freeze cries, and the fucking tear goes to ice. Like it makes you wonder what happens when he pisses or fucking shits. Like does all of his bodily fluids turn to ice? Like what's going on here? It's fucking mental. I do think the relationship between some of the characters kind of really doesn't hit the mark. You're right, Alfred and Bruce Wayne, they could have had something good there, but as Jack said, they don't spend much time on it. His illness seems to come out of fucking nowhere, and then they don't really have a satisfying payoff with it. Like it feels like it's in the wrong movie.
What was with Batman's fancy girl on the side?
Yeah, who
like
knows?
what was the point in her?
I mean, typically with Bruce Wayne, he does have to have, because like the things with Bruce Wayne, if you want a good Bruce Wayne, when he's not in the costume, he needs to live up to that playboy lifestyle of being rich. So I think they've always got to at least give him some random woman to be with if it's not like a serious love interest, so he's keeping up the playboy persona of it. But yeah, she was entirely pointless in this film. Like I don't know why she was there.
Can we talk a little bit about Batgirl?
Let's do it. Let's
do
it. Alicia Silverstone, yeah.
One thing that totally boiled my piss as a British person. I don't know.
Oh, Oxbridge.
Fucking Oxbridge.
She goes to Oxbridge.
She goes to Oxbridge School. So I don't know if there was a place called Oxbridge at the time of filming or something, but you know, like when we refer to Oxbridge, it's Oxford or Cambridge, but you just slur them together. Did someone just Google what's the best schools in the United Kingdom, and it just came up Oxbridge as the first search on Google.
Yeah,
she goes to Oxbridge. Fuck me, like you know what I mean? That infuriated me.
She seems like a weird one because her whole plot seems to come out at the very last 20 minutes. Like they almost need something else. It's a very overstuffed film for me anyway. Like you've got three villains, you've got this Alfred storyline, you've got this Batman. One of my least favorite things is this Batman and Robin bickering about who gets to fuck Poison Ivy the entire time. It takes up so much of the runtime, and no one gives a shit. To the point where, like, we get brilliant scenes from it. Like, don't get me wrong, the scene where Ivy kisses Robin, he's got the rubber lips on.
And then she gets eaten by her own plant, which I have no idea how that works.
The film doesn't really want to play by its own rules a lot of the time, and I think that's where it detracts from it. I think tonally, it actually might be better. Again, I haven't seen Batman Forever in a while, but I think this one at least has a consistently campy tone throughout, whereas I remember Batman Forever, I feel like there's a lot of darkness still in that one that doesn't really quite get that it wants to go full camp, which I think this one satisfies on the level that I think it does do a really good job of being camp throughout and being entertaining. And it's camp to the point where I think John Waters would fucking wince at it. Like, it's that level of camp. Canonically, there are a few changes to this as well. You were saying stuff like they change Batgirl's alter ego as well, because usually she's Commissioner Gordon's daughter, correct?
Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
Whereas
but
in this,
it's understandable given how useless James Gordon is in these films that they maybe didn't go for that angle. Yeah.
Plus, did we really want another storyline going on? Alfred's illness as well as
That's
Gordon's
fair,
daughter.
just shoehorn it in, because there was already too many plates spinning.
I would have watched another one. If this one hadn't tanked and done well, I say tanked, if this one hadn't underperformed at the box office, I would have watched another one. Especially what you were saying, Greg, that there was this idea of casting Nicolas Cage, our sweet, darling Nicolas Cage. Yep. You know, number one kind of fan of the podcast, probably, because we're going to be covering that many of his fucking films on it. Yeah, he was going to be Scarecrow, right? That was the intention.
And you can already just kind of picture... I mean, you could just take that mad scientist from this one, and you could just picture Cage going all the way up to 11 like he likes to do, and it would just be wonderful.
We could have had a trilogy of really brilliant, campy Batman films, because I like this. Like, I don't even think I'm saying that ironically. I think this was 2 hours of a really good time, and I know it's not good. I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm aware that this is not good, but it's great at the same time.
It's kind of refreshing how whimsical and how sort of daft it is compared to a lot of the superhero stuff these days, which takes itself really seriously. I know me and Hannah were watching like the Netflix Daredevil stuff at the minute, and that, while superb, but it's always so gloomy and everyone's so, this is my responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And then it's a refreshing change of pace. Also,
he's excited. I don't know what's going on, but he's excited.
I had this moment of, why isn't Daredevil called Batman and Batman isn't called Daredevil? You've got Matt Murdock, who is blind and travel and gets about using echolocation like a fucking bat. And then you've got Batman, who loves to jump out of planes at terminal velocity and fall out from the atmosphere and drive supercars and everything like that.
He keeps his circus boy with him. You're right. Daredevil would have made way more sense.
So Batman should be called Daredevil, and Daredevil should be called Batman. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
He's here always.
Well, saying that, Batman's costume was originally like red tights. So you had the red theme going on.
Fucking Santa Claus. What do you mean? Like, did they change it? Like, after,
yeah, no,
did they get like a
swapped them
Coca-Cola
up.
sponsorship or something? What's going on?
Oh, there's been a lot of changes. There's like, if you go back to when, because like when comics first started, they were fairly gritty. Then when the comic code came in, they had to get a lot lighter and campier.
Right.
There is like a Batman storyline where he's got like rainbow bat suits, like
Amazing.
one for each color of the rainbow storyline. So
he's all the Power Rangers at once.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
I do think I agree with your point you made like a few minutes ago, Jack, that it is refreshing to watch a superhero film that's not entrenched in like lore or world building. It's just a no consequences, no stakes romp for 2 hours. And I wish we could get that now. I feel like we can't get a superhero without it being already entrenched in like 7 films of fucking lore. I like this. I think this is refreshing. And I was right on part 1, talking about the Smashing Pumpkins song, just adding to the soundtrack. That song, I haven't been able to shut up about it. It's such a fucking banger. It plays over the credits, and it's one of the best songs, and again, has no right being in a film as uncool as this, considering how cool of a song it is. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. As far as favorite scenes, what are we thinking? Because I hesitate to say any scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger in is probably
every
just
time.
my favorite scene.
My personal one is where Bane walks in, and it's the first time Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Dr. Freeze is correct.
Either or.
Mr. Dr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze sees him and just goes, a laundry service that delivers. Wow.
That breakout scene, that's like set during the scene where they're breaking him out of Arkham, and it's just fucking baffling. Like, your sister's here to see you, the sister being Poison Ivy, dressed as Poison Ivy, called Poison Ivy, and the guards are just fucking oblivious and like, yeah, let her in, it's conjugal time. Vigilant, like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, this plays into my favourite scene perfectly. It's at the very end where Poison Ivy's in prison, not doing so well. Mr. Freeze comes in, he's now in jail as well, he's being captured, but the guards have given him his costume, which gives him extra power,
brilliant.
and put him in the same cell as Poison Ivy. He goes in furious, like, yep, you're going to get fucking beat for the rest of your days, and the guards are just like, yep, go for it, mate.
Did I remember
Perfect.
do I remember you telling me that he kept that suit as well, Arnie? He didn't he? After he was...
Yeah,
dope.
They said, you can keep something from the set. He picked the suit, the armour. Poison Ivy went with the throne, and I think it was
Barbara Wilson, I'm forgetting who plays her. Batgirl.
Did you say throne? As in a full throne?
That flower throne that she had,
throne. Where the fuck did she put it?
Literally, what the shit? You can like hang a suit like a suit of armor, but that requires a room.
I want to go to.
She's a
Uma
movie
Thurman's,
star.
yeah.
She has a room probably just dedicated to that chair.
I want to go to
She
Uma
has a room
Thurman's house.
dedicated to each movie and things she does. That'd be pretty cool.
No. No. Yeah, it's just so good. You're right. I mean, they kept stuff, and then Clooney just started paying people back because he was that upset about this movie.
Yeah,
being
reportedly. Well, the person who played Batgirl, I think, just asked for something with the merchandise logo on, like a hat or a T-shirt.
Oh.
But the Clooney thing, reportedly, if you go up to him and say that you've seen Batman, he will refund you your money. So try it now, see if it still works, see if it's still in effect, please.
So I take inflation into account.
Well, that's it. I just paid £3.49 for this on Amazon Prime, so I'm going to email the fucker.
Well, inflation in the next 2 days, Liam.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just so good. It's just so it's pitched perfect as far as if you're wanting a campy time, if you're wanting just a fun 2 hours. We were laughing from beginning to end. It wasn't one of those where with the Wicker Man where you kind of sporadically laughing through it. We would non-stop laughing through it. Like it couldn't be more perfect. Jack and Greg, favorite scenes?
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a favorite, but what I want to bring a highlight to is like how shameless these films are about product placement.
Oh God!
So it's not like one of those product placement things where it's like, oh look, they're eating a Burger King. It's very obvious. Like in a scene, she goes, every Poison Ivy action figure comes with a Bane, and he comes charging in. But like I pointed out this to Liam, like they did that in Forever. So obviously this film starts off with a pretty cheesy line. Batman Forever starts up with Alfred going, "Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?" And he goes, "I'll get drive-through." The only reason they did that is because they were in partnership with Burger King, and he had to use that for the trailer. So watch that scene, then Google, YouTube the trailer, and it's clearly designed for that.
It absolutely works, though. I remember watching the movie, and I got a Mr. Freeze car that shot like little rays. Do you know what? Thinking about it, it looked like the Batmobile, but it was blue, and it looked nothing like the car from the movie. And it just shot little ice bolts out the side.
I don't think you could make the Freeze-mobile because it was too sharp for kids, probably, with all the spikes on it.
It was just made of ice and just melted within the first week, so you had to buy more.
Yeah. But for me, I think it was just the bit where Batman and Robin were arguing over Poison Ivy on the bridge.
Oh, God.
And then Batman just tips him over and throws him into a vat of mysterious, thick, viscous liquid. And it's like, it's never explained. What the fuck is that liquid? It could have been anything.
That's how villains are made.
Yeah. It could have been acid, it could have been paint. It looked more like the goo from like Get Your Own Back or some like kids' TV show.
It was bad.
But it was like, what the fuck, mate?
Proper
Like,
out of character. Like, not in Batman's character at all. Like, that, yeah, you're right, that could have been acid. He could have just dissolved his fucking friend immediately. But no, it was...
also, I love the way George Clooney refers to, obviously, Robin's name is Dick Grayson, but every time he says it, he puts such emphasis on it. Yeah. It just sounds like he's insulting him. Dick.
Because
he always says, Dick.
It's because all they do is argue. Like, literally, most of their dialogue with each other is just them fucking fighting.
Listen here, Dick.
My favourite scene, and I've already mentioned this, so I'm going to keep it quick, was the surfing out of a rocket down from the sky into Gotham Street. Just mental, absolutely mental.
Okay, so second favourite
Okay,
scene.
Hannah loved this film.
No, it was when the dinosaur crumbled, but then you heard the dinosaur, this fake plastic dinosaur that crumbles, but you hear it roar as it dies.
I think what the consensus I'm getting is that this is probably one of our favourite best worst films that we've seen.
Top tier.
I was so happy because I don't have that many memories of it. I remember seeing it as a kid. Watching it as an adult, I think it holds up. I think if anything, it's more in the showgirls camp of sure it's bad, sure it's camp, sure it's ridiculous, but if you embrace what it is, you will enjoy it. Mm-hmm. If you go in expecting Christian Bale, absolutely you're gonna want to fucking tear your eyes out probably. But for what it did and for what it is, I think it's a really enjoyable movie, like 100%.
Something that I've come to realise over doing these films and actually critically analysing them behind the scenes.
Well, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. The women get so much shit in Hollywood. Again, Alicia Silverstone got so much flack for gaining a little bit of weight. And it's this whole thing against females constantly, and it keeps happening in every movie that we watch.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, literally the last one we watched was entirely about women being awful and taking over an entire island and burning people at the stake. So yeah, women do not get a good rap in bad best worst films, apparently.
Schumacher did come to her defense. Is it Schumacher?
Yeah.
Yeah. He did actually come back like to her defense quite dramatically. Actually, he was having a go at the press and everyone who was like having a go at any female reporters. He was just like, "What are you doing?" Obviously, bulimia and anorexia was a huge thing, and like it was just coming to light that it was a problem. And he was like, "This is how those problems are caused." So go ahead.
I'm not massive. I don't know much about Schumacher. I've seen obviously a few of his films. It's good to see that he came to a defense where someone like Verhoeven with Elizabeth Berkley just completely left it for the wolves.
That's what a director should do.
Protect your cast, like protect your crew, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My final thoughts. I'm just gonna kind of, if you guys are ready, I'm ready to talk about final thoughts now. What do we think? I would say it's a harken back to a simpler time of superhero films. It's a lot of fun. We were all audibly laughing the entire way through. There is a lot of nostalgia built around this. I do kind of miss this era of superhero films. If you go into it not expecting anything serious, just expecting a fun time, you are going to have a fun time. Again, as you do with most of these films, just grab a few beers, grab a few friends once you're allowed, and just enjoy it. There's really nothing much to add to that other than it is enjoyable. It's shit, it's shocking, it's great, it's fucking awesome.
It's a throwback to how you enjoy films as a kid, I think.
That's it.
It like plays very much to your childish humour, but in a really, really fun, good, energetic way.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think especially campy elements, like you hear like the squeaky, whooshy, sort of very cartoony sound effects.
Pow.
Yeah, well, not quite the pow and the wham and the blap, but you hear like the real sort of squeaky noises and like the really audio over the top that's so like obviously fake. It does have that element of the sort of Adam West 60s era Batman.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think people expecting, a Dark Knight or something probably went home from the cinema bitterly disappointed. But looking back in retrospect, it's just a fun film. As long as you don't take yourself too seriously, you're going to have a laugh with it.
Oh, 100%.
This is something that I really like, but it is nowhere near.
That was a great point.
It's nowhere near my favourite Batman franchise or anything like that. I would never recommend this film to someone who's really diehard for Batman. As a kind of an aside, as maybe Man-Bat, then go watch it. It's really silly and fun.
Hold the fuck on. I don't have a clue what Man-Bat is. Is that a real thing?
He was a zoologist once.
Villain who is literally a giant bat.
Yeah, that's not what I was referring to. That was meant not exactly Batman.
Okay.
Like, it's not the best of Batman.
Bat person.
Bat person, yeah.
Which they make a joke of in the film, like, it's
aggressive.
Greg, what do you think? Again, kind of as a resident Batman fan, would you ever watch this again?
Well, here's the thing. So I basically agree with all the sentiments said so far. I think it's about time people reevaluate this. Because for a long time, everyone said this killed the franchise. But as we said, this is like a nice film in the age of superhero films where they're all a bit too serious, a bit too broody. Mm-hmm. I think this has its place in the Batman lexicon. Like, the thing is with Batman, people seem to forget, he's not just a character for adults. There's not just the dark side. There's still plenty of kid shows made for that audience, and this is like the perfect film for kids. You can easily put this film on, and then, like I said earlier, it's a good gateway drug for kids to enjoy Batman and like learn about the character.
Drugs for kids.
Yeah,
I'm gonna isolate that part of the audio and like
you're gonna get me on a list, man. And yeah, like I said, if you're an adult, just get a few beers in you, get some friends around, you'll have a wonderful time. It's like I really enjoyed watching it again for the first time since I was a kid, and I loved it.
Absolutely. Right, do you want to talk about the puns? Because you were counting them, weren't you? There was 27.
I gave up really quickly on this. So the problem was that what was a pun, what wasn't a pun. The puns were so stupid and silly and nonsensical that I didn't know whether they were a pun. And then when he was saying obvious ice things like, you will freeze to death, it's like, does that count? Do they think that's a pun?
There's more one-liners than there is dialogue in this film.
Everything's a pun. Right. I had a great time. Like, I would recommend this to anyone. Go and rent this movie. It's only £3, and it's £3 well worth spending. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had a good time. So what shite we're watching next week that I'm going to hate?
Shite is probably the correct word for it. I'm really excited to show, because this is mine and Ryan's.
You just call it shite. I am personally offended.
I don't know what it is.
It's a little film called Southland Tales. Now, this is the sophomore effort from Richard Kelly, the guy who directed Donnie Darko.
Best song of all time in this movie. Teen horniness is not a crime.
It's not a crime. It's sung by... Right, so it's starring Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Teen what?
Horniness.
Horniness.
It's not a crime, Hannah. Get over it. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Sean William Scott, Justin Timberlake, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I am excited.
In a post-apocalyptic... Greg's excited too.
Is this the film where he sings The Killers?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this?
A bit.
Pretty much ruined Richard Kelly's career. Booed at Cannes. it's another one I think that we're going to have to reevaluate because I think it's a masterpiece. I think it is underappreciated, underrated, completely maligned for no reason.
It requires 2 additional books to read to fully understand the movie and what's actually happening.
No, literally.
And they're really hard to get, and I haven't even read them, so God knows what it's actually meant to be saying.
So you guys are, and I'm not saying this because it took me about 6 attempts to actually understand what the fuck happens in it. It's going to take you about 6 attempts. So we're going to watch it 6 times in a row. We'll have the No, it's a great film. Get yourself a copy. They've just put out a beautiful, now I feel like I should be getting sponsorship money for this. Arrow Film has just put out a beautiful Blu-ray re-edition of it, and it comes with like loads of making of documentaries, some beautiful artwork. It's coming back. I'm here to see this film kind of re-enter the discussion about whether or not this is an underrated masterpiece. Because bless him, it did ruin his career. He made one other film afterwards, and it wasn't great.
And Showgirls got there, so there's no reason this can't.
Yeah, I think that's everything from us today, guys. Before we go, Greg, do you want to tell us again where we can find you?
I certainly will. So if you want to come and join in some wrestling discussion, you can find me over at the Bear Hug Club podcast on Facebook and YouTube, Bear Hug Club pod on Instagram, and Bear Hug Club on Twitter. We have lots of fun stuff. We do a weekly pod where we just talk about big wrestling topics. We've got a lot of YouTube content, including Outside Interference, which Liam himself featured on. So yeah, come check us out.
And as a personal aside, I will pay you extra money once quarantine is over to physically wrestle Liam, see how long he lasts.
Should we do like a live stream? Like a Bad Taste Buds versus the Bear Hug Club, who, I mean, I think you're going to win.
I believe that has now been promised to the audience, Liam.
Live stream, let's do it. And they can put bets on and everything, fuck it. Yep, and you can check us out, Instagram and Twitter, Bad Taste Buds Pod, and Facebook, Bad Taste Buds Podcast, and badtastebuds.com. Fuck, I did it right. That was the first time. This is literally the first episode. Every time I fuck it up. Yeah, do check us out there, guys. Leave us some love. And watch out, because we've got a competition probably in the works at this point. Yeah, we've got a Wicker Man Blu-ray up for you, so that will still be going when you hear this. Do enter the competition. You get a chance to win a beautiful steelbook copy of the original Wicker Man. Not that bullshit Nicolas Cage one.
Not the bees.
Not the bees either. I will fill the box. I will fill the box that it comes in with bees. So when you open it, you get bees. Yeah, thank you again for listening, and good night.